Hotels get the most attention when we're talking about bed bugs, but used furniture can also be a major problem. Be sure and look all along the seams. Well, Dave, if you've got a vehicle that's parked a lot near a wooded area, you may be opening your engine up as a buffet to rodents. When they say a dog's mouth is cleaner than a human, not true.
I would disagree with that.
ABC 3340 Cynthia Gould talked to neighbors who turned to fighting for you to get some help. Cynthia?
So, I don't know who in the hell called y'all, but they need to stay the hell out of my damn business.
This dump in front of a home on 3rd Avenue in Docena has become everybody's business. Can you give any type of timetable to move this stuff?
No, I can't.
He tells us they're using the wood for heat. So where'd all this stuff come from?
That's a house from this neighborhood.
So the house he was hired to tear down is now piled up in the front yard. Vehicles block the road, and in the backyard, more trash.
This is unsightly. This is unfathomable that people could live with this kind of squalor.
Commissioner Bowman says homeowner Harlan Dodd died last year. His heirs have taken over the property.
To July of 2013.
Bowman showed us county letters dating back to 2012, where Dodd was ordered to remove litter, debris, trash, junk, with threats of fines and jail time. Every year, more letters sent out.
The only progress that we see is that the pile has diminished from a great pile to a less than great pile.
It's awful. It's like the neighbors from hell.
This woman who asked that we conceal her identity says the situation is unbearable.
I'm worried about fire, and I'm also concerned about the rodents that's coming over into my yard.
Commissioner Bowman says as long as some progress is being made, the county's hands are tied on this private property. So is there anything you can do to kind of work with the neighborhood to clean this up?
Like I just told you, I've been trying to do what I can when I ain't at work.
Neighbors say they are not trying hard enough.
She's just an incredible person.
Cherished memories.
Just happy-go-lucky.
I passed my first car.
Learning to drive. Family time. Weekends on the lake. They loved the water.
Me and my daughter were just like this. You know, we did everything together.
Now together with her memory, Jimmy Johnson warns others of a hidden danger, electric shock drowning. Had you ever heard of this before?
Never heard of it before, never. And I've been around the water since I've been 5 years old.
The tragedy just over a year ago. Carmen and a friend jumped off their dock into Smith Lake. Then their screams for help. And
I looked down and I can see my daughter. And I'm this close to her. You know what I'm saying? So if it had been anything besides electric shock.
The friend clinging to the metal ladder, Johnson and his son jumped in to help.
That I was getting electrocuted so bad in the water that I could barely reach up out of the water and grab the ladder. I hollered out twice, cut the power to the boat dock, cut the power to the boat dock.
Carmen, paralyzed by the electrical current, drowned. The others were able to get out okay.
Are heaven bound and flying high.
Soon after a celebration of Carmen's life, her family learned what caused her death. Water had seeped into a dock light switch, and a ground wire had disintegrated over time. A fatal combination. Their dock, now equipped with an alarm, would warn them of a similar danger.
It's my responsibility as a homeowner on the lake to make sure that my water's safe.
The Marine Patrol advises inspections of dock wiring and ground fault breakers at least every season.
Have it checked periodically. If you have a storm or if you got high wind and waves and it moves that dock around, it could dislodge some things that could cause electrocutions.
Replace metal ladders with plastic ones and be sure everyone knows where to find the power shutoff switch.
Yeah, 120 to the docks.
Electrician Gary Graves advises you take it a step further. Just shut off the power anytime someone is swimming near the dock.
That's the only way to really be proved safe.
He says the lake is no place for do-it-yourself electrical work or cutting corners. So this, you tell people get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
PVC pipes or non-metallic flex cable is safer.
If you got the money to buy a lot on the lake, you already have enough money to put a little money in that.
Graves says calls for safety checks have doubled as word spreads about the danger. There were 2 more deaths recently in Tuscaloosa. There are calls for stronger building codes and mandatory inspection rules.
You don't have to have any kind of a permit, you don't have to have any kind of a license, you don't have to have anything to put power to your dock over the water, which is crazy to me.
Until that changes, Johnson shares Carmen's story to anyone who will listen.
I call it the cake house, but I usually do chicken and dumplings.
Deborah Morrison says she expected peace and quiet running her home catering business outside Clanton. Those dreams shattered when she started getting notifications sex offenders were moving in, lots of them.
We figured it out. The preacher never told us.
Triumph Church pastor Ricky Martin was setting up a halfway house of sorts. The cluster of trailers behind his church and home, now home to convicted rapists and molesters.
Nobody wants to be here now. I mean, it's too unsettling.
The trailer's just feet from Morrison's backyard where her grandchildren play. She says she believes in second chances and knows they have to live somewhere, but so many, so close. So it sounds like you're stuck.
Yes, we're stuck. We're stuck. It destroyed the community.
She tells us of a scary incident, a man knocking on her granddaughter's window saying he wanted the baby. Police were called.
State of Alabama with
Prosecutor C.J. Robinson alarmed the men were coming from all over Alabama, even other states. The majority of their victims, young children.
Only 2 of those sex offenders out of about 50, I believe, were actually from Chilton County. So it was alarming that we were kind of becoming a sanctuary for sex offenders from all over the place.
Robinson pushed legislation preventing such clustering of sex offenders. Pastor Martin sued, and the ACLU took his case, arguing his religious rights were being violated.
We saw the handwriting on the wall, so the law has in fact been repealed. It's a good example of an overreaching federal government that says, we know better than you do how to run your local community.
Robinson says it was clear the federal judge would rule against them. Late last year, the lawsuit was dropped, and not long after, the sex offenders started moving in again.
What would be going through your mind each night?
How fast can I move?
We tried to talk with Pastor Martin.
Can you talk to us real quick?
He referred us to the ACLU attorney, but repeated calls and emails were not returned.
He needs to put the camera on.
And since it's been repealed, there's really nothing we can do. I mean, we'll just have to deal with it as it comes. I mean, anybody that moves in, they'll have to abide by the law.
Chilton County Sheriff John Sharon says his deputies make the required checks. The total number of sex offenders in the county now stands at 154.
Population of 44,000. Got 154.
We're going to buy a gun, yeah. And we've discussed the security system.
But even with that, Morrison says she'll never really feel safe again in her own home.
Just as soon as she realizes she can't pay the rent. And